We're gonna be watching freeways with the van. So, good evening, hello everybody. Welcome to my channel. Let's listen now.
California Highway Patrol right now up in a stolen van. You see that van here? We are on the 101 northbound, just passing Avenue 26th. Now this pursuit's been going on for some time. It actually started down in Torrance. Torrance Police Department started this pursuit of this stolen van you see here. It looks like a floor care company. And CHP took over once it got onto the freeway. It made its way northbound up into the South LA area where it got off the freeways. LAPD began to take over, but then it got back right on the freeway, and CHP said, hey, this is our territory, we're going to take it over again, too, as LAPD backed out. So we're still continuing northbound about 40 miles an hour now. We've already passed the 5 freeway. We're here on the 110, and this driver, you can see there's quite a bit of damage to this van. I'm not sure if that was involved in this pursuit or if that happened beforehand, but quite a bit of damage to the van. It looks like the driver is beginning to gesture outside of the vehicle, so they know that the police and the airships are overhead, that's for sure. So we're just going to continue to follow this northbound. The driver has been running red lights and driving pretty erratically on the surface streets, but since we've gotten on the freeway, has been consistently in that number 2, number 3 lane, going about 30 miles an hour on the surface streets earlier. We were only hearing that the driver was only going about 10 miles an hour, was kind of randomly stopping, communicating with those officers. The airship overhead thought that the suspect maybe getting out of the vehicle to surrender, but then the suspect just ended up driving on. So that's kind of what the CHP is working with. You can see the 3 CHP cruisers behind this suspect vehicle. That's the standard pursuit package, as we call it. You have 2 units involved in the pursuit, and then a supervisor behind, kind of calling it out. There are 2 CHP airships overhead. That's a little unusual. There's both a helicopter who's down low calling the pursuit for those officers on the ground, and then a fixed-wing airplane about 5,000 feet above us, actually watching this from above, recording it on their special camera here as well. So quite a big law enforcement presence revolving around this pursuit here. Now, wanted for a stolen vehicle. They believe that this driver is not associated with that van you see there. Now, what can they do to bring this pursuit to an end? It's a little tough when we get into the bigger classes of vehicles, like this being a larger utility van. Sometimes we always talk about pit maneuvers being the right option, especially at these speeds we're seeing here, but it's a little hard for them to do on these larger vehicles. So what they kind of have to wait for is that suspect to give up, for a spike strip to be in the right place, or for the vehicle to get disabled in some other way, hopefully not injuring anyone. But so right now the CHP is just kind of intent on following this pursuit, still northbound of 110, still working our way up towards the Pasadena area right now, but just cruising at about 30 miles an hour right now, 0 traffic, and a lot of that reason that we don't see any traffic is because it's going so much slower than that normal flow of traffic on this freeway. They're all kind of backed up behind the pursuit, not quite backed up, but you can see them following pretty far behind, so that could be one of the reasons why we're not seeing a lot of traffic as we continue northbound here. But this has been going on for nearly 40 minutes now, starting in the Torrance area, making it all the way here northbound Glen and Sandra, and we are just going to keep following it as CHP decides what their plan is to attempt to stop this utility van. That's what I'm understanding, is we haven't really seen any high speeds. For the most part, it's just been a sort of erratic or dangerous driving on those surface streets. So that's kind of what the CHP and the LAPD have been following, running red lights, things like that, kind of weaving between traffic. But speeds have never been an issue, which is a good thing, especially to control a larger van like this. Those high speeds can become a little more dangerous, especially on like this stretch of the 110 freeway here, where it gets kind of curvy, kind of shrinks some lanes.
Okay, how about 9?
9?
No, about 9:15.
Okay.
About 8:30, like that.
Okay.
it can get a little bit dangerous with the high rates of speed. We're still northbound 110, approaching Orange Grove, if you're familiar with the area. And so the CHPs kind of have to start to prep, because up here, as we kind of make this next bend, the freeway comes to a stop. And so it's going to get back into those surface streets in the Pasadena area, so we'll have to see what happens there. But again, like, there's only a few options of how to bring this to an end peacefully. Pit maneuver if it's the right size vehicle, but you can see just in this shot right here how much larger that van is compared to that Ford Explorer CHP cruiser, and that can be a problem with that sort of maneuver that they do. They need leverage to spin that vehicle out of control, and with the larger vehicles, it becomes more difficult for them to manage and less safe for everyone involved. So they're going to really focus on the safest option to bring this to an end. Now, what the CHP is also doing kind of behind the scenes, we don't talk about them often, but there's a whole team of dispatchers and supervisors at the CHP Communication Center, as well as throughout the Southland here, that are working to get information on this van, who may have stolen it, and then also communicate to the different agencies. We're going into Pasadena right now, that there's a pursuit coming into their area, and letting them know so that they can be aware if maybe a perimeter is set up, or just recently we just heard CHP ask for the dispatchers back at their communication center to reach out to Pasadena Police Department and ask them if they have some spike strips that they can loan or get ready for this entering their town. Now, we don't really care for giving out the positions of where they may lay those, just for the police officer's safety's sake. So I won't speak much on that, but that is a tool that they can use in a pursuit to bring it to an end. Pop those tires, those spike strips. Have a bunch of different spikes on them. They're all hollow tubes, and when the vehicle runs over them, it begins to deflate that tire, because it punctures that hole in the tire, and then leaves those tires disabled, and we see those tires come off, and the vehicle a lot harder to drive. Now, running this red light here at the end of the 110 freeway, now making our way into the Pasadena area, passing back past the Art Center here, if you're familiar with the area, and slowing down quite a bit now that we're on the surface streets, and this has kind of been the theme. When the suspect gets off the freeway, speed slow down, but just looks like they're kind of holding on, favoring that number 2, number 3 lane, kind of weaving between, hand out the window, still kind of gesturing, making movements, both hands out the window. Now, very dangerous driving by this suspect of a stolen vehicle here coming out of Torrance, making our way here northbound into Pasadena. Pasadena has been notified, and they are beginning to respond to assist with this pursuit as we still continue northbound into more downtown Pasadena. Still northbound 110. That's what this is kind of considered just south of California. We're just going to pull out to a little bit wider shot as we come up on this intersection. Vehicle slowing down to a stop right there at the line. Then just going to run that light there. And still continuing northbound towards California, only about 10 miles an hour. Light traffic. Luckily, people are staying out of the way. The CHP is blocking that traffic from behind. They're not going to have to worry about much, as it's only a 3-lane road. But it's still a very dangerous situation, especially with this driver kind of going from faster to slower, running lights, not sure what they're going to do next, especially in a vehicle that doesn't belong to them. That's one of the big things that we see here in Sky 5 with these pursuits, is that when it's a stolen or something of that nature, the drivers end up driving a little more recklessly, because they don't necessarily care about the vehicle at the end of the day. But luckily, it seems like this is going to be slower. Northbound, coming up on California now, from what I understand, and they're just content to follow this along, the traffic in the area, stopping and moving out of the way as this continues now into Pasadena, approaching here in probably a mile or two, maybe a little farther, the 210 freeway, northbound Arroyo, approaching Del Mar.
I don't know.
That's right. It is very erratic in terms of those movements, and like you said, Sandra, how the suspect sort of toys with the CHP officers, kind of stops, comes out, gestures, and then continues on, sticks their hands out the window. The suspect is well aware that they are in a pursuit, and there are officers behind them and overhead. We kind of saw at one point the suspect kind of gesture up towards even the helicopter overhead. So they know that they're there, and we see that from time to time where some of these suspects just keep it going because of that attention they're getting, unfortunately. And it ends up putting people at risk. And we come up to an intersection like here where traffic is crossing. Luckily that suspect vehicle is stopping for this light, but if they were going faster and ended up running it, that could be very dangerous for those pieces of crossing traffic. You see bicyclists and pedestrians up on the sidewalk, kind of right in the midst of this pursuit, which can be very dangerous. We've been seeing that a lot more recently where spectators come out to watch the pursuit, which is very, very dangerous. You see CHP's airship overhead still calling the pursuit from above. But if you're in the area, you hear those lights and sirens, best option is to go inside, lock your doors and windows, and watch it here on KTLA as we follow this from the sky. Still continuing northbound Arroyo through Del Mar right now, only going about 10 miles an hour. So we'll have to see what the suspect does. And the other question is, how much fuel does the vehicle have? This came all the way from Torrance. We're not exactly sure where it belongs to. So is it topped off? Does it have a half a tank? Does it have a little bit left? Maybe is that why the driver's kind of driving a little slower, conserving fuel? We don't know those situations right now. And so this could continue on for some time, or it could come to an end very quickly. And we'll just have to wait to see how the CHP reacts, how Pasadena Police Department reacts, it being in their city as well. It's right here now, Arroyo in Colorado, which is kind of that main stretch of Pasadena we always hear about, especially with the Rose Parade and things like that. So slowly still making our way up to the 210 freeway, and then we'll make our way across into the more northern side of Pasadena. But the CHP is still fully involved in this. It seems like all the other agencies that this pursuit's passed through haven't wanted to fully get involved. They're in the area if the CHP needs help, but they won't take over that pursuit. That's why we see the CHP still completely committed. We see a...
No! Okay, let's take a breath. Sorry, but it was lagging a little bit. Let's listen now. Let's get back to the pursuit reaction video.
A few other agencies here and involved if they're needed, but right now the CHP is still lead. You see the 3 cruisers there, 2 officers, and then the supervisor unit that are managing this pursuit, and then there's a whole team of officers and dispatchers back at the communication center trying to coordinate with the other agencies to see what they can do, whether that be in terms of blocking off intersections, setting up perimeters if this comes to an end, or even spike strips if that deems to be the option to bring this to an end. It's going to get stuck behind this building real quick, but should pop out the other side. I'm going to send it back down to Euclid and Sandra.
Let's just and I just need, but to care for, and
okay, Santiago, step by. That's right.
He's dancing when he's out and he's running, baby, you get a 5 minutes. Okay, well, let's go. You know what I mean?
Glenn, you were right. The street was coming to an end. We had to make some choice there. The suspect ended up going westbound Walnut from Arroyo Parkway. We'll see what happens as we come up to this next major here. Now, it looks like we might be turning northbound on Raymond, I believe. CHP is a little confused on which streets the suspect's on right now, as well as we are. But back northbound, approaching the 210 now. Now there really isn't an on-ramp to the 210 here. There's a feeder road that kind of runs along the side of the freeway that could take the suspect to an on-ramp, assuming they choose to do so. But right now it seems like the suspect's kind of set on either sticking with the majors, kind of north-south right now. And so we'll have to see what happens as this continues. And this is right where the 210 and 134 meet, and kind of the 210 does that jaunt to the north, if you're familiar with the area. So it can get very complex right here with the interchange and the different roads and stuff. So the CHP airship and those ground units kind of have to keep a keen eye on this vehicle. Luckily, it's kind of sticking with the flow of traffic, now stopping at lights and stuff. Hopefully the suspect just ends up kind of getting bored with the situation or getting tired of it and gives up, but it doesn't seem like that's the case right now. It looks like possibly, I'll kind of push in with our camera. It looks like the suspect just sitting there driving forward and might be kind of on their phone or something with their hands. One hand's not even on the wheel. Sounds like the Pasadena Police Department's going to be taking over now. You see CHP kind of setting off to the side. Those other cruisers pulling up to take over this pursuit. Another unit kind of sitting there ready to assist. And it looks like we're going to be turning to the east now. And this is that sort of feeder road that can take the suspect onto the freeway if they kind of take a jaunt to the left. But right now, speeding up now. See Pasadena taking a little bit more of an aggressive approach coming up on this vehicle now. And we'll see what they decide to do as this continues to the east. And it looks like the Pasadena unit's going to try to do that pit maneuver. Not a success. A little too far up on that bumper. And then with the higher speeds, it's a little tougher to get that large van to turn around. But strange, or not even strange, just a different set of tactics by the Pasadena Police Department coming in saying, hey, you guys weren't able to end this. We're going to try our tactics. And unfortunately, it was a good effort, but didn't end up working as that cruiser came up to do that pit maneuver. We'll see what happens here. Police officer coming up again, and it looks like they were considering to do that pit, but with the traffic here, it's not safe to do it, especially on the freeway. Suspect now going down that right-hand shoulder, very dangerous as people pull into that to service when they have a service issue with their vehicle or an accident. Not a place that you expect a vehicle to pass you on. I know I just had a car pass me last night in that right-hand shoulder, and it confused me quite a bit. I thought I was in the wrong lane, but the suspect vehicle just holding onto that right-hand shoulder. The vehicle's in the area, not knowing what's going on. As this now approaches. It looks like CHP airship's the only one over this right now. They're trying to get the Altadena ground units from the CHP office to take over this pursuit now as we continue to the east on the 210. Now, west of Hill, we're going to be crossing under Hill Street here shortly, going about 55 miles an hour, about medium traffic right now, holding that number 5 lane, kind of hugging that shoulder as well. We'll see what happens, but now without those ground units behind the suspect, it seems like they're going to slow down and drive a little more easily, kind of going with that flow of traffic, slowing down quite a bit against the flow of traffic, which is also a danger, especially drivers not expecting a slow vehicle, just like that black sedan pulling up behind him right now. So very erratic movements by this suspect. It seemed like the suspect was a little spooked by that Pasadena unit coming in trying to do that pit maneuver on this van, and it kind of sped off there. You see CHP going through the shot now, but this is what we're going to be watching as this continues, as the CHP attempts to get their units back involved in this pursuit and see what steps they take next to bring this to a successful and peaceful, hopefully safe end here on the 210 going eastbound. Glenn and Sandra. Yeah, that's definitely what it seemed like. What we saw was the Pasadena kind of take them onto the freeway. I heard it on the scanner that the Pasadena was kind of trying to decide between themselves if they were going to continue on with the pursuit or let the CHP take it back over. And once it gets back on the freeway, the best option is to give it to the CHP, as they know that area. That is their territory, so that they're going to follow it best to be able to end that pursuit best as it continues, just like you see there, stopping that whole freeway to prevent any further issues with traffic as this pursuit continues eastbound on the 210, continuing to the east. Up ahead, it's slowing, but that's due to this right here. They did a traffic break, and those can be really frustrating for drivers on the freeway, but they are done for the safety of the public, and in this case, to keep those drivers away from an erratic driver, someone involved in a pursuit, a stolen vehicle. Because the last thing we want to see is this vehicle to crash or to stop on the freeway, suspect hop out, and then go to try to take another vehicle, or for that vehicle to crash into another vehicle. So the CHP, even though it's an inconvenience, is going to stop that freeway just due to the dangerous situation of this pursuit, so that they can keep the public safe as much as possible as this continues to the east, approaching Allen right now, just holding that right shoulder, only about 10 miles an hour. So who knows if this is going to end with the suspect running out of gas, or just giving up successfully, or if maybe a spike strip's an option. But right now, it looks like at this point, it's going to mess up the drive for at least a half a mile right now back to the west, as people try to make their way eastbound. They're restricted now to about a 10-mile-an-hour speed here on the 210 when people are just trying to get home or to their next destination after a long day of work. So the freeway is clearing up quite a bit ahead. It's free all the way down the bend, probably 2 miles ahead of this, as the pursuit slows down that traffic to the west as it makes its way eastbound. Still only going about 10 miles an hour, kind of weaving in and out of that number 5 into that right-hand shoulder lane. And so that just makes you wonder what's going on inside. So we will continue to keep what's going on inside that van. Is the suspect fully focused on driving? It doesn't seem like it. They keep sticking their hands out the window. So we will continue to keep an eye on this as it continues here up in the Pasadena area. I'm going to send it back down to you in the studio. Okay. That's right. And when the speeds kind of slow down like this slows down the whole situation for those officers involved, for those supervisors, those dispatchers, and they're able to work a little bit more efficiently to find a better solution. And at these lower speeds, it might be able for them to set up other measures to bring this to a successful end, like a spike strip or something ahead. We'll have to see what happens. We haven't heard anything on that at this point, but still just kind of limping along here. And like you said, Glenn and Sandra, we don't know the condition of the vehicle. Maybe that impact from that Pasadena unit did something to that rear passenger side, maybe messed with the drivetrain or messed with that tire. We don't know from this side, and it's a little hard for us to swing around right now, but we'll see what happens as it continues on here. We're coming up on an off-ramp, and the suspect vehicle is just kind of holding that right shoulder, so we might be getting off. And if this one kind of swings around like I think it does, we might get a glimpse of that passenger side, and it looks like the CHP is getting ready to hand off to another office, and that's what the CHP ends up doing with these pursuits, and how they are so efficient with them. They kind of leapfrog from office to office as it makes its way through the Southland, starting when we heard it in the Central Division of CHP, then handing off to the Altadena units of CHP up here in the Pasadena area, and now they're going to be handing off to the Baldwin Park units of CHP who know this area well. And it looks like right now the suspect is kind of in that turn pocket to get off the freeway on Sierra Madre. We'll have to see what happens here. It might be veering still onto the 210, but they are asking their lead unit in this pursuit to kind of back off, and you kind of see that lead unit doing that right now because they don't know what the suspect has in the vehicle, and the suspect keeps reaching around, doing different things. So for the safety of the officers, they're going to ask them to take a little farther back approach to this, especially at those speeds with that air unit overhead. They don't need to be right on the suspect's rear of the vehicle to follow this. And it looks like we're still continuing to the east up onto that kind of gore point there. We'll see what happens.
Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
5 miles an hour. And it looks like the suspect just content to kind of hug that shoulder up into the bushes now. And into a street sign. Wow. And into the bushes. This might be coming to an end. It might have been just coasting here. And we'll see into another street sign. Wow. And it is a bigger utility vehicle here, so we're going to see, wow, that's what that that divider stop right there is meant to do, is stop vehicles when they collide with them. So this vehicle is now pretty much stuck on that sidewall kind of bumper you see there. So now comes another dangerous part of the pursuit, and that's the termination of that standoff. The CHP isn't really keen on what's inside that vehicle or what that suspect's doing, just due to the nature of this van. It's hard to see in. And so they're going to hold a little bit wider of a stance, especially with the erratic driving of this suspect. But they're just hoping that suspect will come out peacefully and give up. But at this point, with how long this pursuit's been going, it doesn't seem the case, but it looks like driver door is open. We're going to hold a little bit wider of a shot until we can kind of make sure that this scene is safe. We don't want to see anything on air that may be too graphic or gruesome, so just holding a little bit wider here. You see CHP in a position of advantage of cover right now with their guns drawn, calling the suspect out of the vehicle. Suspect is coming out, going to prone out on the ground, hands behind their back. And we're not sure if that's exactly what those CHP officers wanted them to do. Typically, they want to make sure the suspect doesn't have any weapons on them by lifting up their waistband, then often have that suspect walk back to them. But this suspect just said, I'm done, I'm giving up, I'm going to lay right here. You can come up and arrest me. So we'll just have to see what they do. But time is on those officers' side. The freeway is shut down. That off-ramp is shut down here at Sierra Madre. And so there's no danger extremely close for the public. But it's just going to be a matter of time till the CHP sets up their approach team to walk up and arrest the suspect. And then the other thing that they have to do before they can deem this safe is clear that van, and that's very hard to do with the nature of the window situation on that van. All they can do is see in that front driver door. They can't see what's in the back of the van, so they're going to have to approach that very carefully to make sure. And it looks like they might try to approach that van and then arrest the suspect at the same time, just due to the nature of the situation. They want to make sure that that van is clear and that no one's going to be in danger arresting that suspect, especially how they just came out and laid down right next to the van. But you see one officer going up to clear the van from the side, another one approaching up near it, and then that officer with the rifle going to go in and take that suspect into custody. That officer up at the van looking in the driver cabin doesn't seem to have any worry there. So at this point, it looks like the suspect is in custody. They're going to check the back of that van, and once they do deem it safe, they'll be able to fully clear this, deem this a safe situation. Officers holstering their guns, and it looks like this is a code for a safe scene. They're going to be able to clear that freeway very quickly here, and a successful end to this pursuit of a stolen van starting in Torrance, making it all the way here north to the 210 freeway here in Pasadena. I'll send it back down to you in the studio.
And then,
Alright, we finished our hit. What's your pleasure? Alright, we're out of here.